Bienvenidos a la otra mirada, al hecho, a la pieza, al hombre, un trazo, a la imaginación y a la belleza de las artes. Ya comenzamos. En los años 70, un grupo de jóvenes artistas rompieron los estereotipos de género, convirtiéndose en pioneras del movimiento muralista en San Francisco. Conocidas como las mujeres muralistas, ellas motivaron y alentaron a otras a crear obras de arte que demostraran su capacidad creadora.
The mural movement has really been about creating a cultural geography in places where we could not afford to own the property, but we could take the visual life into our own hands.
Murals especially are art for the people. It's not in a special building. It's out there on the streets, so anybody can enjoy it, and it just immortalizes the spirit of the community and the people that live here.
It's important as people of color to have our own walls, our own narrative portrayed by us, but especially if it's painted by women, it's designed by women.
The muralist is a public intellectual. We take the public square back.
To leave your mark on a wall is just so natural. And other people can see it, and that's how everybody learns from one another. The beautiful thing about murals is that it's storytelling, that maybe people who aren't from here will learn something new about their neighborhood because of a mural and the story that it tells.
I've been raised in the Mission amongst some amazing muralists, and I feel like they gave voice to a lot of people that didn't have voice or power and weren't seen in a lot of other places in the city, in the Bay.
And women muralists, we've pretty much been erased from history. You open any history book, we're not there. We have to make our own resources and teach about our own histories.
Those women are the ones that were our pioneers. They mentored us, and we saw not only that, of course, that we're painting for the community, but also that our voices as women were important, because for them at the time that they started, they had to fight for that.
Buscamos métodos de expresarnos como latinas y fue haciendo murales. El grupo de nosotros se llamaba Mujeres Muralistas y éramos 4. Hicimos unos murales por toda la misión, pues.
O sea, se puede decir que eres una de las primeras mujeres muralistas aquí en San Francisco.
Sí.
People would come over. We were dressed in overalls and men's shoes and hats. And people would come and stare at us all day. And then when we got down and they heard us talk, and then we were wearing lipstick, they said, "Oh, we thought you were men." Well, why are you women up there? Because we want to be, and we're artists. But why women? And I said, why not? Well, it's very unusual. Well, sure it is, because it's the first time you see Mexican women up on a scaffold. But you're welcome to come back and bring us lunch and watch us finish. And people would.
Como mujeres decidimos que queríamos un grupo de puras mujeres porque, bueno, estábamos compitiendo, entre comillas, con los muralistas hombres de la misión, que eran bastante fuertes. Y entonces decidimos que íbamos a hacerlo todos nosotros.
This is Graciela Carrillo. This is me, Irene Perez, Patricia Rodriguez, and Consuelo Mendez. So this is probably one of the first shots of photographs that were taken of us when we were painting the mural at Pan American Mural.
And this is Pan America. This was my first big mural. We just started to draw and said, well, let's talk about the beauty of our culture.
One of the things that the Mujeres Muralistas did, which was totally contrary to what was going on at the time, and especially what had just come from the men, what they did is actually they introduced women, images of women in a mural. The revolution of what they did was that they actually included women as part of the community, not only as part of the community, but as contributors to its survival, because that did not exist at all.
At the time, we were basically shut out of every museum, of every gallery. We decided, okay, well, then we'll put our colors and our people up in the mural.
The meaning of murals to us is more significant, meaning that we no longer feel that art should be kept in the galleries or, in private collections. That everybody should have the same enjoyment of art as anybody else, and they should enjoy it at the same time. Putting it on a wall is more significant for everybody, as well as for ourselves, so that everybody can enjoy it, see what it's about, and they learn from it too.
And it just worked so smoothly, like what we should have been doing all this time. It was just so open, it was so new. It was just amazing. Like if we put on different lenses, all of a sudden the world changed. We shifted to a feminine view and perspective.
Nos agrupamos como fuerza para poder trabajar juntas y salir afuera y establecer un diálogo sobre todo con la gente que vivía alrededor de los murales.
We like green and blue and pink. I said questions, not statements.
Listen, everybody wants to hear what's going on. At least I do. So y'all can be quiet.
We wanted to put murals out here. It doesn't have to be something that anybody else has. It can be something with the parents here, the youth, and the children together. Put it together and put it up there and make it look nice. Our faces, people that stay here, put your faces up there and everything so it will look nice.
You're going to have people that are going to help you paint. It's not going to be just a mess of, people coming in and just throwing colors on. You're going to have artists that are going to help you to choose the colors.
I've been asking, people what they think of the murals, what they think, the adults. A lot of them like it, A lot of people hang out from the windows and say that's really good or it's colorful or something. We haven't got any really bad reaction.
What influenced me the most about the Mujeres Muralistas is the way that they collaborated with each other and that they respected each other's effort and created a design that unified all of their ideas in making a whole mural. in my mind, I thought that this is something that could be shared with all groups of people. And that's what inspired me to do the community mural workshop at the Presida Valley Community Center, the first one. And I could see how empowering it was to the people who participated. And that's how the Presida Eyes muralist kind of got started. Probably done about 700. I keep losing count of how many murals that we've done. And that's what kept us going for over 40 years.
I was lucky enough to be under the tutelage of Susan Cervantes, AKA Mom for us here at Presida. She's such a badass. With Presida, I feel like Susan's paved the way for us to communicate for the community.
Because we started with nothing and gave it a quality that it's for everyone, that it's for people, it's inclusive. And that's what Presida Eyes is, that's the kind of legacy that we're going to have, is that it's always been an inclusive process and will always be. It was inspired by the Mujeres Muralistas.
Perhaps it's taken so many years later to look back at it and say, wow, yeah, I guess we did a lot of influencing. It made women artists really just go right ahead and do it, you know, without thinking there's any barriers. We didn't see the limitations until somebody brought them up, and they were usually our male counterparts that brought up the limitations. And we just steamrolled right through.
When I'm painting on the street, I feel like I'm in the place where I'm supposed to be. I feel most centered there. This is the place where ideas happen in an urban environment, where people come together. Hey, Sean. How you doing?
So how many murals do you have up in this city?
Well, there's the Mission Swimming Pool, the Lechugueras.
Las Lechugueras mural was really about environmental justice, the pesticides, the exploitation of workers in the fields in California, and of course a critique of the field bosses and the migra pursuing people. I really felt strongly drawn to images that were socially relevant, that were going to change the world in some way, that upset people and inspired people, and were not art for art's sake. Las Lechugueras mural was falling apart. When I couldn't get money to restore that mural from the city, I exploited the fact that I had first rights to destroy the mural and paint a new piece in its place. Something I didn't really want to do, but we blessed it, and then we blasted it off the wall and we put in La Llorona mural.
The Llorona Sacred Waters features women in leadership in environmental struggles over water and against femicide.
My painting is rooted in social justice and public pedagogy. That's why I choose the themes that I choose. When I was invited first to paint on Bob Mirada, that was 1983. The war in Centro America had brought many, many people to the mission. It just seemed organic to respond to what our country's tax dollars were doing in our Latino neighbors' homelands. And it just moved me. So I painted the Te oímos Guatemala, you know, we hear you, Guatemala. the ribbon of the retablo over the rooftops of the mission. And women would come up to me and said, I lost my child in this war. Of course, you're going to have this incredibly deep experience with that public. It's very important for women and people of color to push for that social space.
For the women's building, we used the very same process as the Mujeres Muralistas, and that was a joint collaboration. To put it together in some sort of amazing composition that works with so many women involved in the actual design.
Women collaborating together and cooperating together to create is so powerful, and it's so crucially needed.
Like this, going across like that much, and then covering this corner. I feel on the wall sometimes. I can feel my other sisters on the wall with me. I can feel where they are. I can feel how they're doing. I feel like part of one body. It's amazing.
The way that women in this table have managed to listen to each other, it's been a revolutionary experience in a lot of ways.
This mural was a collaboration with 7 different women of very different backgrounds. And we were an arranged marriage that came as a result of a call for artists. One of the reasons we proposed to do both facades is that we had over 100 years of mural painting experience among the 7 of us at that time. Really, there's no woman who doesn't have an issue that isn't represented here in the services of the women's building. So we wanted to take the internal organs of the building and reflect that in its skin and making women really, really visible. And the collaboration became a public example of how women can work together to do something monumental.
The women's building thought we were just going to do the bottom on the Lapid Street side, because that's all the funding that they had for just that one small wall. And when we got together and we looked at each other and we said, I think we want to do the whole building, because this is a unique group of women artists, and we're not just going to do this little tiny thing on the side of the building here.
Okay, Catalina. I take everyone who comes to the city to that wall, because it's not just one wall, it's 2 giant walls of this building, and it's covered in women. It's covered in women's names. It's covered in incarcerated women and disabled women and women of all colors.
We all got along fabulously. Everything just seemed to fall into place. The first 3 months, the drawings, everything, it just seemed like some kind of cosmic force that allowed us to work so gracefully together and so well together. It was just so life-affirming and so wonderful.
I was brought into the Maestra piece by Juana Alicia. She brought 10 artists through. We were all women. And it was done in the middle of the night, which was awesome. So it was like, we were kind of like graffiti artists in the middle of the night, climbing on all crazy on these ladders and painting on the ceiling. And just like really crazy nights, you know, until like 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Sometimes we go there in the middle of the night and come back early in the morning. And it was really, really fun. We didn't only just paint, but we built like a community within us. I walk past the building or go in the building, I'm just like, wow, I'm part of this. I am that person. So, yeah. That's so funny. It brought tears.
For our mural, all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. We'd all been in the meetings with the nurses and spoken with them about how COVID was affecting them in the workplace, but also on a personal level. We got to hear it.
You know, you listen to the community and have them take ownership of the mural. You as the artists are trying to visually interpret what they want to see. And, you know, we're painting a mural that's going to sit in a community that we don't necessarily always live in, but we want to honor that and the people that live here.
The mural that we did for the nurses for Proceda Eyes, the lady that's stitching the masks, that's actually my friend's mom who made a bunch of masks, and we were just like, oh, let's buy from her because we didn't have PPE back then. One of the cool things about muraling especially is that you can document that moment in time. It involves being in a neighborhood or community because you're using a public area. That's just really, I think, important for me is like having someone walk by and be like, oh, that's me, or like being able to relate. Juana Alicia painted La Llorona, which has like all the water elements, and it's one of my favorite murals. So we're like, oh, why don't we like connect it a little bit? So we brought the water in. It also kind of brings in like a cleansing, you know, like a limpia.
We wanted to show not just the sadness, but the hope that came out of the pandemic. Hope for the future, hope to be reunited with our loved ones, to hug them, and kind of show where the heart of the community is, and that's with each other.
To bring art to the street is an excellent tool for both education and community organizing, as well as a celebration of culture.
Having such strong female role models, I just want to continue that tradition, you know, and uplift other women artists that you're working with too, and women in the community and young women.
You can just eyeball it, I think. Yeah, but I think doing that first, just eyeball it. So we continue to cultivate more and more women in the process. Inspire them, encourage them, because that's they need to know that they can do this.
If we can put some of ourselves on the wall so that the children says, oh, that looks like my tío. Oh, it looks like my grandmother. No, it looks like my sister. So that was the idea, is to get them to appreciate that they were important too.
We're still here, no matter how far you push, no matter how much you try to erase. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue expressing and telling our stories, no matter what. Our ancestors are not going to let us, not do it.
Las obras murales en México realizadas por mujeres son vastas. Sin embargo, poco se ha hablado de ello, pues el muralismo en México tiene una identidad marcada por la influencia e impacto del trabajo de quienes son considerados los tres grandes del muralismo. Dígase Diego Rivera, David Alfaro Siqueiros y José Clemente Orozco. Las mujeres muralistas osaron cambiar el curso del muralismo, al arrancarlo de su fundamento dominado por los hombres y al trabajar de manera colectiva como mujeres. ¿Ha vuelto usted a vivir junto a nosotros la experiencia de disfrutar del arte? La próxima semana regresamos con una nueva mirada al mundo de las artes visuales. Buenas noches.